Hello and welcome in. It is Mayday. Oops, I messed that up. Trying it again. Welcome in to the first ever Mayday update here on Monday, March 30th. As you know, we have live shows every Wednesday on Foul Territory and every Friday on Trevor May Baseball. This is a little off-stream companion show so that we can talk about more things that are happening in real time, so we don't have to wait till Wednesday to get into the news. And I am excited because we're gonna have a little twist here. But before we get into the show real quick, make sure you are subscribed to the Mayday Catch-Up over on our Substack, IamTrevorMay.com. You can get a weekly email keeping you up to date on everything we're making here at Mayday, as well as 2 bonus videos every single month or more if you decide to become a paid supporter. Everybody who supports, you are helping us hire new people, expand the operation, and cover more things and make more stuff. So we appreciate it in advance, and thank you so much. Without further ado, this is the Mayday Update, and joining me today to talk about our original first takeaways for the first weekend of the 2026 regular Major League season. That is, it's producer DK in the flesh wearing a Marlins jersey, of all jerseys.
I mean, the Marlins started 3-0. I mean, I don't get many occasions to break out my Giancarlo Stanton's Marlins jersey, so I thought this was a great time. Thanks for having me on, Trevor. I don't know if you're having me on. I don't know if I'm having myself on, but very happy to be on here with all of you guys talking about the first weekend of the regular season.
Look, here's the deal. I make all the decisions. We're having you on.
Yeah.
That's how this works, and I love that you have a Stanton jersey on. This, I mean, you're running it back all the way to the Mike Stanton days.
This is Mike, yeah.
If you know, you know. All right, let's get into the early takeaways. Let's start with the takeaways on the ABS system. We've already had some big calls, some that could potentially big calls. I was personally watched George Springer use a great one on a ring-up pitch in the late innings against the Athletics. He ended up striking out anyways because the guy pitching was filthy. But he put himself in a position to come back. But you put together some stats here, and I'm going to run through them real quick, and then I want to know what your take is on so far. So, like, through the first 35 games, the challenge rate's about 2.4%, and last season AAA it evened out about 3%. I would anticipate it being at that level, or maybe even higher in the big leagues, just because of stakes, and certain guys are going to get really, really good at this. But one of the big, I think, surprising, not surprising moments that has kind of highlighted this ABS system recently is C.B. Buckner, of all people. Who would have thought this was going to happen? He had 8 calls challenged and 6 overturned during the Reds' 6-5 win over the Red Sox on Saturday. He had back-to-back potentially inning-ending strikes challenged and overturned in the bottom 6 when Ryan Watson was facing Gino Suarez. Gino was able to get himself into a 3-2 count from 1-2 after challenging those pitches, and then ended up working a walk, which turned out to be a very important at-bat. This is the type of thing we're talking about, right? Like, I think these moments are going to show up all the time. I'm interested to because, frankly, you don't have a toddler. You've been watching more live games. What is the impact you felt up to this point?
I mean, I think the big thing that I sort of underestimated, and I don't think that baseball fans really got to see at the AAA level and in spring training, is sort of the stakes that come with these challenges and sort of the pageantry of it. And you see it on TV. We're going to talk a bit about this next, but some of the Derek Shelton ejection, this play with Eugenio, the broadcasters are getting into it, the crowd's getting into it. It's adding another very exciting element to baseball. And just like the pitch clock did a few years ago when that came in, it's just another way this game has become more exciting. But with that game specifically, I was sort of half watching, half listening on the radio. I was doing some errands. I live in the Boston area, so I had that Red Sox radio broadcast. And a big storyline from that game was just the C.B. Buckner element. People were anticipating going into this that there could be a good amount of challenges in this one. And it certainly was. Again, there were 8 challenges, 6 overturned. And then after this play, the Red Sox actually got burned again on a challenge because they wished they had maybe kept a few of theirs, lost the 2, and then couldn't challenge a play later in the game.
That's the nature of the beast, right? It's about when you're going to be using them and who is going to be using them. It is unclear, I believe, and I've tried to look this up. It is unclear on like how much impact like a manager can signal, and to get it has to be really quick. I don't think you have enough time. We've already had one where someone tried to challenge, it was too late and they weren't able to get it. And I think that's that way so that managers can't like do the hand up thing or anything. Like the player has to just make a snap decision, and that is like the skill part of it. And we're already seeing the veteran guys like have thought about the moment that they're going to do it, or the type of situation where they're like, where the decision should be made for them either way if there's one available. But then we've also seen, I was talking with producer Henry earlier and talking about a situation with Durbin, and where he wanted to challenge a very clear, obvious kind of big moment later in the game that is for the Red Sox. And he wanted to challenge it. They didn't have any challenges left. So like, that's where it burns you, because it kind of is if you get them wrong, that hurts. But then when you have none left, that really hurts as well. And that's the interesting thing to me. It's like, it's going to vary very wildly on how teams handle it. And we saw that in spring. We saw the Yankees and the Twins were just like, throw the flag, tap the helmet as much as you want, and we'll see what happens. And then there was teams like the Reds who were very good at it, but they were also super picky on when they were going to do it. And that's what's so fascinating, because one of those teams is what we were just talking about. And it seems like Suarez is one of those guys who has the green light, has the green card as well. There's probably not a ton of guys on that team that can just say, let's go. So you mentioned Derek Shelton getting thrown out. Walk us through that. What happened?
I mean, the Ryan Helsley challenged a pitch, but it took him maybe more than the exact, I think, 2 seconds. And that's sort of what you were talking about with you not really being sure, and not being sure, but the managers or other people other than the pitcher, catcher, hitter having an opportunity to really have any sort of involvement in this decision making regarding the ABS. Helsley maybe lingered a bit before making that decision. He was still granted the challenge. It was overturned. And then Derek Shelton, we saw our first manager ejection from the ABS. And I just want to shout out your former ESPN broadcast. You've done some work with him, Kevin Brown, Orioles play-by-play guy. I think call of the year so far. After Shelton got ejected, he said, quote, "He's arguing with the robots. You can't defeat the robots," which, I mean,
he's right.
That's incredible from KB.
Couldn't be more right. KB is, I believe, one of the best in the game and is going to only get better. And he is, a fun fact, the world's youngest Oasis superfan. I did not know he liked that band so much. It's crazy how much he loves that band. Just a random fact out of left field for you. Another really interesting, I think, byproduct of the ABS coming in full force this year is everyone had to go get measured again. And the results of the changes in these of the gentlemen's heights were pretty lopsided one way, and that's down, which surprised, I'm sure, absolutely no one. Especially, you got to keep this in mind that we have a thing amongst the gentlemen in, well, basically the world, where the difference between 5'11" and 6 foot is a big deal, and baseball players tend to be in that 5'10" to 6 foot range a lot. So there's a lot of guys trying to get to that 6 foot, just like anyone else does. And we had a lot of guys knock down a peg. Now myself, I've never had that issue. So I just we're gonna throw that out there. Got to toot my own horn. Height is one of the few things I have, so I run with it. But in the stats listed, this is it's like not, it's surprising and not surprising simultaneously. But this is from Sam Bloom. 430 hitters on opening day rosters that were measured. Over half of them lost at least an inch. Over half of the players' height went down. So like we lost several players worth of total height throughout the league, just aggregate. Like we lost 3 players just based on inches removed. And of those 225, 6 lost 3 inches, which is insane. 48 have lost 2 inches, and a 171 have lost 1 inch. And you know what? I understand that because I actually did physically shrink 1/4 of an inch in my playing career, which you're walking around cleats all the time, you get compressed, whatever.
How'd you figure that out? Like, was that just like?
Well, you just get, whenever you had your like official physical, it was a very, very exact number. Like they were going 1/8 of an inch. So like I just went based on the first one I ever did, but the last one I was like 6'5" and an eighth or 6'5" and a quarter, and then I went to like 6'5" exactly. And which I was like, oh no, I'm almost in 6'4", but that's going to happen eventually. Whatever. Happened to my dad, it's going to happen to me. Gravity comes for us all. But 171 only lost 1 inch, completely normal. You know what? I'll give a guy an inch, but like 3 inches. So the 3 guys, the 6 guys who lost 3 inches. I want to take the first 2 and then you can present the second. Gavin Lux and Alex Freeman. Dodgers, that's Dodgers infield, Alex Freeman and Gavin Lux of the Rays. Were both listed at 6'2", but they're actually 5'11". That is a cardinal sin. Like that is, come on, what are we doing? But additionally, we had a few more that were pretty egregious too.
Yeah, so we had Gleyber Torres and Connor Wong, the Tigers second baseman and the Red Sox backup catcher. They both went from 6'1" to 5'10". Phillies infielder Bryson Stott, he went down from 6'3" to 6 foot. And then I actually think the saddest one is sad, Guardians catcher Bo Naylor. He went from 6 foot to 5'9", because like if you have 6 feet, I'm 5'10", so I'm sort of doing pretty well for the average American male. But that's like if I'm like even a little taller, I'm sort of, then you can maybe argue about 6 foot and rounding up from there. But 5'9", I was 5'9" once. There is no argument.
That's a different
that 5'9" is
weight class, completely different weight class.
So it's a bummer for Bo Naylor. But with this story, I just thought it was so interesting because if you look at the NBA, it's sort of a known, I guess, secret in that league that players can manipulate their heights a lot. And there are some strategic reasons for that in the NBA. Like Kevin Durant has been listed at 6'9" for his entire career, but it's pretty well known that he's basically 7 foot. But he likes to be listed as shorter so that he's not pigeonholed into a big man role. Draymond Green is the opposite. He's probably more around like 6'4", but he's been listed at like 6'6" or 6'7" because he plays more of a big man role. Like Chris Paul's 6 feet, but he's probably like 5'9", 5'10". But before this, I didn't really know, for the whole ABS height standardization, I didn't know that this was as big of a thing in baseball. So I think this is kind of interesting that we're getting more transparency and this is sort of coming out.
We're getting a lot of calls right here, huh? I love it. I just think it's awesome. And also we just all knew it. But and we got to give some credit where credit is due as well. There were some people that went up in height. I believe we had 45 players gain an inch, and 2 players even gained 2. So, but the league's getting younger and younger. They might have literally just grown. Who knows? It's entirely possible.
Yeah, right. Like,
half the league's under
there's
25.
Some 19-year-olds.
Yeah, there's a ton of guys who are super young I was growing still at that time, so that makes a lot of sense. But yeah, the 3-inch drop, that's tough. All right, let's move into rookies, and we've had some guys absolutely explode onto the scene. Maybe not out of nowhere. It is nice to see, especially highly touted prospects, or for these organizations that were really or are leaning really heavily on them, especially this first guy, because the Guardians really have a lot of eggs in the basket for this guy to become a really stud hitter. Because they haven't really hit that way yet. So to see this happen is great. We're going to start with, that is Chase DeLauder, who I'm talking about of the Guardians. He hit 4 home runs and he currently leads the league in homers. 6 for 17 on the start of the season, so that's a lot of homers. High percentage of homers for the hits. Not necessarily always the best thing, but very small data set. But also Trevor Story, last guy to hit 4 homers in their first 3 regular season games in 2016. It's pretty good company. And he did in Seattle. And if everyone at home maybe not remember this, but he actually debuted technically in the playoffs last year in the division series. So, but these are technically his debut because it's his regular season debut. Chase DeLauder.
It's interesting because it's not like he did debut and he's already played on like a bigger stage because he played in the wild card round with the Guardians last year. And I remember reading a stat after opening day that it was the first day in like Major League history. I think Off the Stats had this, so shout out to them. This is cool that they dug this up. But first day that 3 players debuted and hit home runs, and that didn't include DeLauder. because even though these were his first official at bats per the MLB records, he did not count as his debut because he had those postseason opportunities. So some of his records have even been getting a little bit lost, but what he's been doing is awesome. And you mentioned the impact about how important it is for the Guardians. And you're exactly right, because they're not going to get free agents, really. So they need to take advantage of these guys when they're still on their first contracts, pre-arb, and if they're able to work some sort of extension out with them. But they need to take advantage of these years.
Yep, and they need some juice around Jose Ramirez, who consistently has been very clear he's staying in Cleveland. He's not going anywhere. He's never going to go anywhere until he is done. So that is something that you need to be able to build around a little bit, at least with some pop. And the loss of Josh Naylor was big for that. So hopefully this is an indication some of these young guys can fill that role. Okay, then we have Munetaka Murakami. Again, him and Okamoto. I just mentioned him. Two guys we've talked about this before on the show. How they're going to handle velocity, how they're going to handle swing and miss in the major leagues that tends to have higher velocity and a little bit better stuff and get more swing and miss. So far, so good for Murakami with 3 homers his first 3 games. He signed a 2-year, $34 million deal for, projected the bottom 3 team in the league. And so good first sign that he came in coming hot, showed that he can get some barrels in the ball, hit the ball real far. He is as marketed thus far. So hopefully that is good. That is a good thing. It remains to be seen with Okamoto, though he's looked pretty good out the gate too, not overwhelmed, which is an issue. So it's good to see these guys kind of feeling comfortable in this area. Probably WBC helps a lot, frankly. The fact that they both come over, they've seen the atmosphere, and it's very big league. So if anything, it's more electric than the big league. So at least they get that taste first. That probably has a lot to do with it. Let's talk about McGonigal. Give us a rundown on Magoo over in Detroit, because this guy's an 80 hit tool. Everyone can't stop talking about him. He has been as advertised so far.
Yeah, the hit tool, you're exactly right. Started his career so far, 5 for 13, 2 doubles, 4 hits in his first MLB game. But the thing I want to talk to you most, that I think most people have been impressed by with McGonigal, is on Friday, his 10-pitch at-bat against Wandy Peralta in the top of the 8th, right? So 2 outs, he comes up, works a 10-pitch AB, fouls off like 6 straight balls to keep the at-bat alive, then hits a 2-run go-ahead single, which ended up being what led the Tigers to win a game. So if I want to put you in like Peralta's shoes there, right? Like you're going against a rookie, and McGonigal's great. Like he's the number 2 overall prospect, like very highly touted, but you're not expecting him to be able to work that kind of at-bat, right?
Your assumption isn't as a rookie, but I would probably, with this specific guy, that is his MO. He walked more than he struck out in the minors, and he's had, everyone says he has some of the best plate discipline and the best plate vision of any rookie in a very, very long time. He measured out against the likes of, Willians Astudillo type of bat control. I know that's a crazy deep cut, but anyone who doesn't know about Willians, he had less than 100 strikeouts and less than 100 walks in 4,000 minor league at bats or something. So that kind of bat control, he couldn't miss if he wanted to, right? And that is the kind of thing that is being discussed with McGonigal. But with Wandy Peralta, lefty, he is a nightmare to lefties because he throws to the heaviest sinker on the planet. Now he doesn't have a really great breaking ball, but it's super it's like his own bowling balls. He throws hard. He throws left on left. Everything's moving into you, and to be able to foul, and then get the job done against him, it just shows a level of understanding of how to hit that is way beyond the years of a guy. I believe he's 21. That's exciting. I'm super excited if I'm a Detroit Tigers fan, especially with that looming see you later Tarek Skubal likely to come at the end of the year, but also let's just call a spade. The Tigers are very platoon built, right? They have a lot of guys that are really, really strong at facing left or right. McGonigal is a guy who's not only young, but he has shown that he doesn't care about left and left at all. You don't have to platoon this guy. We don't have to Colt Keith him right out of the gate. We can just leave him in the lineup, and we don't have to change line change in the 7th every single time. That is, I think, probably something. I know that AJ Hinch loves to kind of play that game, but it'd be nice to have one guy who's going to stay in, especially a young.
You also got to credit Hinch for giving him the opportunity to get that lefty at bat this early, right? Because it's super easy for a lot of managers to sort of keep the training wheels on their young guys in these sort of platoon matchups, especially late in the game against one of those, like, I mean, you don't really see as many specialist relievers anymore, but someone who does have really great splits like Peralta. So props to Hinch for trusting his rookie, and props for McGonigal for coming through.
Yeah. And then last on the list, Sal Stewart, Reds, 7 for 10, 3 doubles, 1 home run, 3 walks. Pretty much exactly what they're counting on him to do. He is the Reds version of Kevin McGonigal or Connor Griffin. A big deal. They're really putting a lot on him. These guys are like, what's striking is so advanced they are out of the gate. Not just the fact they're getting hits. Like, you can go up, guys can come up hot. A lot of guys come up who maybe aren't necessarily the greatest hitters on the planet, but they hit a home run their first, whatever. Like, it's clear that, especially with Sal Stewart and McGonigal specifically, it's approach. Like, their approach is advanced. They're not going up there and just talenting you and then succeeding because you don't have very much information on them. Like, they're working the count. They know what you're going to do to them already, and they're 21. Like, that for veteran pitchers is like, man, you got to count on being able to kind of bully some rookies a little bit, and it's becoming harder and harder and harder. So, I think that whole narrative of hitters starting to catch up is a big deal. And also, Reds love to see it, a controllable, I'm not going to call him an asset, controllable player for 6 years, and hopefully he turns into a guy who sits in the middle of that, or the top of that lineup for a while. Okay, let's talk real quickly about a couple news things. Bo Bichette, gotten off to a rough start for the Mets. He's 1 for 14 with 8 strikeouts. I'm not worried about that. When it comes to hit tool, not super worried. The guy is, I think, one of the better natural hitters in the league at the moment. But third base has been rough. Have you seen him? Have you seen any of the highlights of him over there?
Yeah, it's been tough, but I think the bigger thing is, this was from an article from ESPN's Jorge Castillo. Does a great job covering the Mets and the Yankees, but he had this little nugget where he was saying that Bichette acknowledged to the media that he was struggling at the plate a bit because he thinks it's been taking a lot more mental energy to prepare for third base, which is a new position for him. And so I think that's sort of the bigger story in regards to his switch to third base, not necessarily his performance like in the field at the hot corner. People know there'd be some bumps. It's not like he was incredible at short either. Not like he was incredible at second in the World Series. So I think as long as he's not like the worst, I think that'll be fine for the Mets. But I think the bigger issue is how this is impacting him at the plate.
Yeah, I know, especially Mets fans probably don't want to hear that, right? They don't want to hear that sounds like an excuse, but mental energy is a big thing. Baseball is every day. You are building like this automated systems in your body. Like, a lot of stuff you have to do, and just things need to be as close to automatic as you can be. And moving a position just resets that most of the time, especially when you're like third base, shortstop. Those are everything. It's very similar. It's really not. You don't have a lot of range. Range isn't part of it. You have to be very quick, and then you got to make a farther throw. You have less time. You're going backside, have to plant throw. Like, it's just different kinds of throws than you're used to making. And you don't get to charge balls almost ever. Instead, you're just trying to catch stuff between hops. It's just a really different position. And he, as a shortstop, has thought about all this stuff. He knows the differences. And so now it's like, I need to make sure I'm on top of how I'm reacting here, because it's a different type of reaction I need to have on different kinds of balls. So you're rewiring how you react to things off the bat. That is hard. And that's why I say I'm not worried about his bat. As soon as he gets a level of comfort, not whether it's playing third or like they figure out a way to do a DH, like figure out something where it doesn't need to be such a mental load, his bat will just heat right up. It really will. It's like one of those things, if he's healthy, that's the thing, he just wakes up and he's holding a bat. Like, that's just what he does well. That's always been his strength. So I wouldn't worry too much about that. But the defense on its own, but also the struggles there are going to probably translate just for a little bit. Give him some time. Give him a little bit of time.
And then Trevor Whip, while we're still on this, not to sound like a jerk right here, but you're kind of the perfect person maybe to ask about this. He got some boos with the Mets fans.
Yeah.
How do you think that could maybe play into it? Because this is pretty early for someone in their Mets career to be getting the ire of the fans at Citi Field. So if you're talking to Bo Bichette right now, what are you saying about that to him?
Hopefully this was 100% expected. Like there is a level you have to be to avoid booing. You have to be in the David Wright, Derek Jeter level to avoid booing. Everyone else is on the table. Like you're not going to be able to avoid it. And it's actually more. I would also say it's more likely you get booed at the front of the season because all the energy's there. There's all this energy in the middle of the season. The energy settles, but like everyone's really excited. You want to get off to a good start. You jump on skis, they get really excited, and then now you look like a bruise on the fruit. And I think he knows that. I mean, it's not like he Toronto is like the happy-go-lucky, always everything's sunshine and rainbows all the time. Like, it's a big market. When things aren't going well, they let you know. It's different. Obviously, New York is always going to be different. And Boston, New York, Boston, and both New York teams, Boston, are just different.
The Canadians are known to be a little nicer.
They are known to be a little nicer. They can get feisty, especially they whip themselves up. But like, it's a different thing. But it's not like he's not aware of it. It's not like he's whoa, this is crazy. Like, he's been there a lot. He was in the Yankees division on the other team. Like, he knows what being booed is like. It just feels a little bit weird from your team. I would just say, hey man, like, they're gonna do it. They're gonna do it in weird times too, where it's just like an isolated moment for that game, where they're not even mad at you long term. It's just they wanted you to get the job done right then. And that's just the way it works. And I think that if anything, it'll make you feel like you want to figure out third base quickly so you can get that mental stress. Once you know it's there, not rushing is going to be the hard part. And I think that's what we want to pay attention. Like, how much is he like getting frustrated because he wants to be good at third now so he can focus on hitting again so that people won't boo him? Like, it's just not going to help, is what I'm trying to say. So I would say, hey man, it's going to happen, but I'm not going to tell you, hey man, ignore it, because you're a human being. Just know where it's coming from, and that when it's flipped and you get the other side of it, it's going to feel real good. And he has a much better chance of getting the flip than I did. So like relievers were either doing their job or they're bad. Hitters can be heroes more often, and so he will get that. He will get the love the other way. I'm confident in that. All right, give us our last little piece of fun news here before we get out of here.
If you listen to Mayday every Friday, one of my favorite segments to write is Internet Says, where I, as someone who is chronically online in the sports world, share with Trevor my favorite things I've seen from the past week, baseball and baseball adjacent topics from the internet, primarily my Twitter feed. And this is an account that has been blowing up my Twitter feed over the past few days. And if you're a sports fan, you're probably familiar with the concept of a scoregami. It's mostly used in the NFL. It's a term, I believe, coined by John Boys to talk about describes a unique score. So when the score of the game has never occurred before in the NFL is primarily what people have used this for. But recently it's come to my attention that there is someone who is tracking MLB scoregamis, which, if you think about it, is they're going to be a lot fewer of those.
Yeah, there can't be
that
many
many
left.
baseball games.
Yeah.
No, there are a lot more baseball games than there are football games. The scores are a lot lower, so it is very rare to find one. But there was one tweet, and we'll have this up on the screen, but it sent me. So on Sunday, the Astros beat the Angels 9-7, and the account tweeted it out and then said, quote, "No scoregami. This score happened 1,260 times in MLB history, most recently less than 10 minutes ago." And so a game had just finished, back-to-back, had this, and that had like 20,000 likes at the time of this recording, over 2 million views. And stuff like that is why I think like baseball Twitter and all the stuff like that is just excellent. So much fun.
Yeah, this is not the only account that like has a very niche, like one stat track situation going.
Yeah.
Which gets me thinking like maybe this is something that we should just have like a start building like a running glossary or like a running catalog for people to go check. Like, you can find all the accounts. That would be pretty cool to put up on Mayday. We'll talk about that after. We have our own game, Percentile, out there now. If you want to play that, that is mayday.games, www.mayday.games. If you want to check it out, it's all about percentile rankings for players. if you're into games like this, or you like to do connections on whatever, on New York Times or whatever, Immaculate Grid, it's that type of thing. So cool, awesome. DK, thank you so much for joining us today and also helping me put this together. We're going to get out of here, and we will be joining you guys back on Wednesday for a live episode on Foul Territory. We will be getting into all kinds of subjects, possibly some more early season rankings, maybe some way too early overreactions. I don't know. I haven't decided yet. We're going to discuss that in a moment. But we're going to get out of here, and we're going to see you on Wednesday. Have a good one.
Ready to overreact, guys.
Let's overreact. Drink your water, watch your baseball, and we'll see you next time.